Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video we are going to be doing my April wrap-up. Before we get into anything bookish, however, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below, as well as tell me in the comments what was the most forgettable book you read this month. So I had a fantastic reading month. I read 12 books. 12 books. That is my best reading month so far. Unfortunately for you guys though, majority of those books I read for different videos, meaning this wrap up is gonna be quite short. Actually, I don't know if it will be, because the books that I didn't read for videos, I actually really loved, so I probably do have rave reviews for those upcoming. I don't know, this could be really short, this could be fairly long. We'll find out. Jumping into my stats, like I said, I read 12 books this month, and across those I read 3,196 pages. That does include converting audiobooks to pages, but in terms of audiobooks, I read about 46 hours. My average rating this month was 3.78 stars. Fairly good reading month overall, but unfortunately I did have one DNF. I am continuing to have a streak of one DNF a month. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. In terms of the little goals I set for myself, I did complete my big book. I had 2 nonfiction reads this month. Unfortunately, I did not read my comic, however. That's 2 out of 3, not bad. I'm gonna roll over my comic into May, but it's May 2nd and I need to get this filmed. In terms of genres this month, I read 6 fantasies, 2 nonfiction, 2 mystery thrillers, 1 romance, and 1 historical. Honestly, I just don't know what's gonna be the easiest way to lay out this wrap up, so I'm gonna go simple and just do lowest to highest rated. At the bottom, the one DNF I had this month was unfortunately Queerly Beloved by Susie Dumond, and I read this as a part of my ARC reading vlog. I'll put a link to that in the cards as well as in the description down below. You can definitely go check out a full review there with better thoughts. After that, my lowest actual star rating was Survive the Night by Riley Sager, which I read as a part of my Raid My Shelves reading vlog for the month. This was roughly about a 2.75 stars. I think in that video I did officially round it up to a 3, but yes, this was my next lowest rated book of the month. I did have 1 3-star short story, which was A Very Charley Christmas by Darynda Jones. This is a Charlie Davidson short story. I think it's 10.5. It's basically a little Christmas story, and if I'm being completely honest, it's probably the saddest one of the series. In all honesty, it's really not necessary in terms of reading the series. It does not add that much, but if you're a completionist like I am, you read it anyway. It was fine, nothing outstanding, so I went with 3 stars. Following that is a book that I read for a video, which will actually be coming out this following Monday, and that is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom. This one I also gave 3 stars. Keep an eye out for that video so you can get a full actual review. Following that is an ARC I had to get read because it was expiring here soon, and that was A Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons by Khavari. I read this for a ARC reading vlog, which will be coming out in June, and I gave it 3.5 stars. Then we have The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, also read in that Raid My Shelves reading vlog, and this one was about a 3.75 stars. I think I just kept it at a 3.5 in the video. Now we are into my 4 stars. First up is Never Look Back by Liliam Rivera. This video will be coming out in June as well, and I gave this one 4 stars. Next is the other ARC that I read for this month's ARC reading vlog, and that was 10 Steps to Nanette by Hannah Gadsby, and I gave that one 4 stars as well. I swear, eventually I will have a full actual review for you. Please hold on. Actually, this next one is a full review, and that is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Heron Blake. I read this for the 20-something book club, and I gave it 4 stars as well as 4 chili peppers. Nice and spicy. This is a sapphic romance alternating perspectives between Delilah and Claire. Delilah has been living by herself in New York away from her family for many years now. However, she agrees to go back to her hometown to take photos for her stepsister's wedding. Of course, that mostly is because of the giant paycheck she is promised. However, once there, she ends up running into Claire, who is her stepsister's best friend, and although they did have interactions when they were younger, Delilah does not have fond memories of Claire. What initially starts as a really dramatic bet between Delilah and her stepsister turns into a wonderful romance when Delilah gets to know Claire, a very sweet single mom who runs a bookstore and loves this small town she lives in. Guys, I enjoyed this so much. I blasted through this in no time. This definitely lived up to the hype. It is very funny, it is very cute, cute. It was perfect for me in terms of Delilah's personality. She is hilarious. Her personality, her attitude, across the board, she just felt very real. I really enjoyed being in her head, along with Claire, who is very sweet and caring, a good foil to Delilah, and I also really enjoyed watching her personality as well. As soon as the two of them start to bond and become friends, I was absolutely hooked. They were very convincing as characters, and I had such a investment in the both of them handling their personal drama and traumas, which then made me equally invested in the development of their relationship. They start out flirting, but like I said, the author definitely takes time to build a friendship there before we eventually officially jump into romance, and I really appreciated that. It did kind of give this a slow burn feel since it is around 400 pages. It's a bit longer than your average contemporary romance, but I think the author did a great job of taking advantage of that page space and developing the relationship between the two of them. The small town atmosphere in this is particularly strong, and I really enjoyed that. Along with that, we also see plenty of familial dynamics, and all of them felt very authentic and kept me equally invested in those storylines alongside the romance. Like I said, Delilah ends up going back to take photos for her stepsister's wedding. With that comes some wedding shenanigans, particularly since her stepsister's friends don't actually like the man her stepsister is marrying. I really enjoyed that part of the plot, and I actually wish it had been utilized a little bit more. I think it would have helped the pacing, particularly in the middle of the story. Like I said, this has a bit of a slow burn feel, especially because we see from both women's perspective and there's tons of mutual pining. However, unfortunately, it does start to get a little repetitive. That might be just a me problem. I know some people really love slow burn stories, and this is probably one of very few I've actually read get to be a bit too much for me. Finally, at the very end of this, the two characters confess their love to one another, and I mean, I really enjoy the cheese and romance, but these two have only really gotten to know one another in the past 2 weeks, and confessing love just felt a bit too out there for me. Feelings I could understand, love a little bit much. All in all though, like I said, definitely lives up to the hype. A really great read. I had such a fun time. 4 stars, 4 chili peppers, really recommend. Oh, I missed one other 4-star read, and that was Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. That one will also be in a video coming out in June. Finally, we are into my 5 stars, and I just realized I actually forgot to pull one of them out. Excuse me. So my first 5-star of the month was 11th Grave and Moonlight by Darynda Jones. This is the 11th book in the Charlie Davidson series. My usual spiel is Charlie Davidson is a PI, but she is also the Grim Reaper, which really helps in her day job. We follow her as she traverses all of these ridiculous mysteries, a very steamy romance, and is absolutely ridiculously hilarious. I really enjoyed this 11th one as well, particularly because this book is all about the one thing in this series that I love so much. Found family protecting one another, and it is just so sweet, so wholesome. Oh my god, the ending, the razor, like... 5 stars, absolutely adore this. I only have 2 more until I have officially finished out my reread of the series, and I am so excited. Next is my 5-star nonfiction book this month, and that was 𝗖cie by Angela Chen. I, across the board, thought this was a very educational, fantastically done nonfiction story that was very well laid out, where Chen alternates between stories from people she has interviewed who identify as asexual, and then pieces of factual evidence as well as different studies that she's brought together to corroborate the information she presents to us with the asexual person's experiences. I was just very impressed at how well she integrated both of those and wove them together to create these seamless chapters that focused around one theme, which links with asexuality. At the beginning, I was actually a little concerned after the first chapter that this was going to read a little bit more like a professional study, but I think if it did, it would have been a disservice to the audience Chen intended this book to be for, meaning this is easily digestible while still being incredibly educational and based in a lot of statistics and studies and things such as that. Like I said, this delves into many different aspects of a person's life which can connect with their asexuality, making it very easy for a reader to follow and even relate regardless of their own sexuality. She really had me reevaluating our society's relationship with sex and its role in relationships, both with other people as well as ourselves. I think the mark of a very well done nonfiction book is that it really makes you sit and think about what you just read, relate it to your own life and your own experiences, and that's what I found myself doing with this book quite often. I had a good few tabs. I think Angela Chen is a very strong author. Many of these purple tabs are lines that I just enjoyed in general. However, the yellow tabs were fascinating facts that I wanted to return to later. Of course, it's not really surprising to me that a good few of those were relating to asexuality's portrayal in media, as well as sex's portrayal in media. I'm certainly going to be thinking back on some of these facts that I picked up whenever I am trying to find other pieces of media with asexual representation in it. Honestly, this is less than 200 pages and it is a very quick, very easy read. I highly recommend it. I think everyone should read this just because it really makes you sit and think about all of the different things that can go into any relationship you have, whether it be with someone you have sex with or with your friends or again with yourself. It was very impactful. 5 stars. I highly recommend this book. All right, and then finally, my best book of the month was The Starless by Erin Morgenstern. If you saw my 5-star prediction video recently, I was so glad that this lived up to it. This was a 5 stars, baby. I loved it. Really enjoyed this reading experience. Beautiful, gorgeous, absolutely stunning. Morgenstern's writing is magical. It paints such a beautiful picture. I could literally close my eyes and watch the entire story unfold. I'm also incredibly impressed at how well Morgenstern interwove all of these plots. Very reminiscent to what she did in The Night Circus, but I feel like it went above and beyond here. This is about stories within a main story that then cross and connect and tie around one another to create this overarching plot. Just had me so sucked in. Half the time I was lost, but I honestly still loved the entire experience of reading this book. It was fascinating and clever. Morgenstern is an excellent storyteller. I'm so impressed that she could tie in some of these things that seemed like little inconsequential parts early on and then ended up being so important later in the story. I think it was in my reading vlog where I commented that this reminded me a lot of Alice in Wonderland combined with Narnia and then add like some piratey vibes, and I just was so all over that. While the characters in this weren't quite as fleshed out as I would have really enjoyed, I do think it's amazing at how quickly she can create them and establish their personality. Each feels incredibly unique and distinct, and even though they can be introduced very fast, somehow they would still have me won over in no time. We watch as they work through their own stories and then inevitably end up affecting the main story. They develop beautifully throughout the book, and I loved seeing all of the endings they had and the impact they each had on one another. Like I was saying, I didn't even expect some of these characters to play such pivotal roles in the story when we first meet them, but by the end, they become so important. Literally nothing in this book happens by accident. The world of this book is incredibly whimsical. It really just draws you into the story. Every time I picked it up, I felt as though I was just following the characters into this wonderful underground maze, which is filled with all of the best things in life. The entire world in this is just so soft and welcoming. It's such gorgeous writing. It almost feels like poetry. Like I said in my 5-star review and any other time I've talked about this book, it's definitely not for everybody, but I'm so happy it was for me. It was so beautiful. It was so magical. I am definitely going to reread this at some point. I had many tabs. Some were just for beautiful lines, others for beautiful moments. There were a good few of these that I really loved because of the romance that was developing between the main character and another who we meet, and I didn't even think was going to be that important in the long run, and then somehow I was so ready for the two of them to find love and be happy with one another. Like I said, nothing accidental happens in this book, but oh my god, it was so good. 5 stars. 5 glowing stars. Loved it. Absolutely beautiful on the inside as it was on the outside. This book is also just aesthetically pleasing as hell. Definitely check out a hard copy if you ever see one in the store because, oh my god, this book is gorgeous. On that note, that is all of the books I read in April. So thank you so much for coming to my channel today, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I have all my socials linked in the description if you're interested in keeping up with what I am reading. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!